Hello children, welcome to your channel Ammu&You. Guess what? Ammu has added a new feature to this channel. We've already doing an English video, a Hindi video. Now I thought let us do something more, and so I have added a video for mythology stories only. Actually, I had got many requests for the same. People said that children should know mythology, it's so interesting, and what if I tell stories to them? I have received many requests to tell the stories of Mahabharata as well. The story of Ramayana, these are the two epics, Mahabharata and Ramayana. But Ramayana we all know more because we have the festivals of Dashera, Diwali based on those stories. And so you all children, I think, know more about Ramayana than of Mahabharata. I myself have done videos on Ramayana. So today and for the next so many weeks, I plan to do the story of Mahabharata. It's a big story. That is why it's called an epic. It's, of course, old. Ramayana was older. Mahabharata came after that. And it has many characters, many stories, and it's hugely interesting. And every instance or every stage of Mahabharata has so much to teach all of us that is even relevant today. So let me start with the story of Mahabharata, the great Mahabharata. Now it is said that Maharshi Vyasa decided to write Mahabharata. He wanted to write it, but he wanted someone else to write his words. He went to the gods for help. The gods suggested Lord Ganesha. So he went to Lord Ganesha saying that, will you please be my writer? Ganesh said, okay, fine, I will be. But let me tell you that I will simply stop writing the day I feel I am bored or I get disturbed. And thus Maharshi Vyasa started narrating the story of Mahabharata, and Lord Ganesha started writing it down, penning it down. So the story began with the kingdom of Hastinapur, where lived a great king named Shantanu. He was a very popular king. People loved him. He was great. One day, he had gone to the forest to hunt, and while coming back, he saw a beautiful maiden coming out of the river Ganga. He was struck by the beauty of that woman. He kept looking at her and then went to her and said, "Who are you, lady? I have never seen you before. And how come you so beautiful?" So the lady smiled and said, "But why should I tell you? I don't know you." So he introduced himself, saying that I am King Shantanu and I am the king of Hastinapur. In that short while itself, he started liking that lady so much. He wanted to talk with her more. So he said, "Can you please introduce yourself as well?" So she said, "Yes, I am Ganga. I am goddess Ganga." So he said, "Wow." So Ganga said, "If you really like me so much, you think you want to marry me?" Shantanu was overjoyed. He couldn't believe his ears. She herself suggesting that they get married. He said, of course, yes. I do want to marry you. So Ganga said that, okay, I agree to marry you, but I have one condition. Shantanu was ready for all conditions, but he said, yes, what is that? She said, I will marry you, I will be your queen, but you will never ever question me. You will never question my whereabouts, nothing. Now that was a bit unusual, but Shantanu thought, what would her activities be that I need to question her? I think it's fine. And he already was in love with her, and so they got married. After some time, Ganga gave birth to a lovely baby boy. Shantanu was ecstatic, so happy. But at night, what does he see? That Ganga is carrying the baby in her arms and walking out of the palace. Where is she going at night? Shantanu thought and followed her. And to his shock, he saw that Ganga left the child afloat in the river, and the child drowned. Shantanu could not believe his eyes, but he couldn't ask her. That was the condition that she had married, and she had said, the day you will break your promise, I will leave you to never come back again. So he feared that Ganga should not leave him and go away. So he just held himself back, could not ask her. Like this, children, you know what? They had 7 sons, one after the other, one after the other. And after every child being born, Ganga would take the child and leave the child afloat in river Ganges. Shantanu was in deep sorrow, and he just failed to understand how could a mother do this. When they had their 8th child, and Ganga again went with the child to the river, Shantanu could not hold himself back any longer. He lost all his patience and said, please, Ganga, what are you doing? How can a mother do this? How can you be so cruel? You have killed 7 children, 7 sons. And why? The moment he said, Ganga said, you have broken your promise, King, so I am going away right now, never to return back. So Shantanu was heartbroken, but he said, but will you not explain your behavior? Then she said, actually, many years back, once Guru Vasishtha was deep in meditation. Guru Vasishtha. And then 8 Vasus are the Vedic gods, they came to disturb him. Now Vasishtha got so angry to be disturbed while in meditation, he cursed them. He gave them all curse that you all have to go to earth in form of human beings to face the struggle and torture of life. Now those 8 Vedic gods were scared and they were apologetic. They realized their mistake and they asked for forgiveness. They said, we are very, very sorry. We did not realize what we were doing. Please forgive us, please. So then Vasishtha said, once I have said something, I can't take it back. But what all I can say is that 7 of you will die as soon as you take birth, and so you will come back to heaven again. So Ganga said, this is how those 7 sons were the 7 Vasus who died just after taking birth, and I set them afloat in river Ganga. This 8th child was the 8th Vasu, who was not apologetic of his behavior. He did not feel that he had done any wrong, so he did not ask for forgiveness. To which Vashishta said, since you are not even realizing what you have done, you are not pardoned. So you will have to live a life on the earth in the form of a human being. So, King Shantanu, this is your child, the 8th child, and I am taking this child with me so that I can look after him till he is slightly older. He will be your descendant. Saying this, with the child, she just walked into the river Ganga and disappeared. Shantanu was so sad to have lost his dear, dear wife, who he loved very deeply. But nothing could be done now. Years went by, and one day, suddenly, while he was crossing the riverside, he saw Ganga come out of river, and with her was a handsome looking grown up child, son, a boy. Now Ganga said, King Shantanu, I have brought your son back to you. I have seen that he grows up well. He is powerful and strong, and he is blessed with a long life. I have named him Devavrata. Now onwards, you can live with your son. Shantanu was so pleased, and Shantanu hugged his son and brought him back to Hastinapur and declared him to be the prince of Hastinapur. Now, King Shantanu was very proud to have a son like Devavrata, who was kind, wise, brave, but he missed his wife, Ganga. Years went by. Devavrata grew up to be a handsome young prince. But Shantanu could not forget his wife, Ganga. So one day he was sad, he was feeling lonely, so he was strolling along the riverside when he saw suddenly a boat and a beautiful girl sitting on the boat, in the boat. He did not know, he had never seen the girl before. So he went up to her and said, "Who are you, lady, and why are you sitting here alone?" He said, "My father is a boatman, and I ferry the boats for him. I take people from this side to the other bank of the river." She was speaking so softly that Shantanu fell in love with her. He said, "What is your name?" She said, "My name is Satyavati." "Will you marry me, Satyavati?" What could Satyavati say? She said, "You have to speak to my father." So both of them went to Satyavati's house. Her father could not believe what he was hearing. "King of Hastinapur, Shantanu wants to marry my daughter?" "Of course, yes. I am honored. I am so honored, King. But I have to have a promise from you before she marries you." "A promise? What is the promise you want?" This is Satyavati's father. "What is the promise that you want?" "I want you to give me a promise that my daughter's children will be the heir to the throne. Shantanu was shocked. How could he do that? He already had a son, Debabrata. He was grown up. So how could he give away his right to somebody else? That was unfair, and Shantanu was a very fair king. So without saying anything, he came back to the palace. But he was very sad. He could not forget Satyavati. And he was so sad that he could not even do the work of the kingdom, his kingly jobs properly. He could not concentrate. He did not like to eat. He did not like to sleep. And the sleepless nights and less food made him grow weaker and weaker. Devavrata was watching his father and was concerned that why is my father getting weaker? What is wrong with him? He tried to find out, but he couldn't find any answers. Then he asked the chief minister of his father and said, "Do you have any idea that what makes my father unwell and sad?" The chief minister knew the truth, and he then told Debabrata the real reason. Debabrata went right then to Satyavati's house and called out to his father, saying, "I got to know about your demand just now. I promise you that my sons will never be the heir of the throne, and neither will I be. Your grandchildren will only be the heir to the throne of Hastinapur." To that, Satyavati's father said, "Thank you, Prince. I trust your words. But what happens when you have your own children, your own sons? They may demand, they may claim it as their right. Then what will you do? And where will my daughter go? I want to ensure the throne for my grandchildren." Debabrata, children, what he did? He loved his father so much. He wanted him to be happy. So what did he say? He said, "I hereby promise that I will never get married. When I don't get married, I will never have children. And so you will never have this problem, never have this fear." Then Satyavati's father agreed to the marriage, and Debabrata brought Satyavati to the palace. His father was shocked when he saw Satyavati and he heard the story. He told Debabrata that no son could do what you have done for your father. I am so proud to have a son like you. And he later was known as Bhishma. He said, "I rename you as Bhishma. And because of the wondrous heart that you have, I give you a boon of death at will." What is death at will? A death at will means that you will be able to die when and how you wish to. This is my boon to you. Children, Mahabharata is a long story. It will take days for me to narrate it, though I am telling you the story which is specially abridged for children. I think for today this would do, where we have known who Bhishma was and how determined as a person he was, how much he loved his father, and how Shantanu married Satyavati, his second wife. The story from here onwards will be continued in my next session, in my next video. So you need to wait till then, right? I love telling this story, and you won't believe how many times I have read these stories. When I was a kid like you, I would read them so many times. So thank you, children. Be good, be safe. If you like the video, like, share, subscribe, and message me if you wish to. Lots of love from Ammu to you. Thank you.